it's Robert Foley. Outside in the 22B from J New York, that's Pete Blaney. 2 rows back on the inside, the 41's Tim LaFountain, he's from Keysville. Outside the 14B, John Mike Brissett, he's from Keysville as well. 3 rows back on the inside, the 15 is Fast Eddie Brissett, he's from Plattsburgh. Outside Fast Eddie in the number 9, the legend from Gabriel's, that is Harold LeVere. 4 rows back on the inside, 7th starting spot for the Breezy Painting number 4, that's CJ LeVere. Outside LeVere in the number 54 from Prue, that is Tyler Irwin. 9th starting spot on the field, the 18, that's Clement Bell Jr. from Peru. Outside, in the 10th of Champlain, number 16 from Moores, it is Dale O'Neill. 11th on the grid, the Bob's Trucking number 14 from Keysville, that is Rob Clark. Outside Clark, in the number 5 machine from Champlain, it is Rick Welch. Next row on the field, 13th starting spot, the number 94 from Gabriel's is Tanner Crary. Outside in the 26, it is Matt Baruso from Peru. And final row on the field, the turd-colored number 61 is James Saya from Plattsburgh. And outside, the more recycling number 77 New York for Chris Clark. He's from Keysville. 16 cars set to go, 10 laps for segment number 1. Rob Foley and Pete Blaney up front. Pete Blaney's going to be a guy to watch starting outside row number 1. 16 cars, 10 laps the distance. Here in segment number 1, off of turn number 4, green flag is out. Good start for Robert Foley down on the inside as they race up into turn number 1. Foley has the nose out in front, but here comes Pete Blaney. Guy moving through the middle of the pack is Harold LeVere in the number 9. CJ's trying to move down on the bottom as well, but Pete Blaney works his way around the outside of the 66 of Foley, and he's to the lead. Harold LeVere thinking 3 wide up on top of the racetrack, but thought better of it, and he'll pull behind the 14 of John Mike Brissett. Look out, contact in turns 1 and 2. The 15 of Fast Eddie Brissett got into John Mike Brissett, but here goes Dale O'Neill. O'Neill thinking 4 wide down to the inside. CJ LeVere, the 4, has to push up the racetrack a bit to allow some room for Dale O'Neill in the 16 underneath, and he's going to come through and take away position number 4 on the 14 of John Mike Brissett. John Mike Brissett fights back. And that was a bit of a brake check for the 14 of Rob Clark as he worked his way up into turn number 1. Not easy so far for the 4 and 77 this week. They've won the last 7 weeks. Either the 4 or the 77 through the last 7 weeks have pulled into victory lane, but it may not be the night tonight. Mid-pack, it's the 77 of Chris Clark trying to work his way through the field. Look out, contact between the 9 of LeVere and the 77 of Clark through turns 1 and 2. The passing flag's going to be out for the turd-colored car at the back, James Saya, and he's going to take the 61 out of the way down on the inside. Out front, it's Pete Blaney in the 22B. He's showing the way with Rob Foley in the 66 running in position number 2. Then it's Tim LaFountain in the 41. He runs in 3rd. CJ LeVere battles side by side with Dale O'Neill in the 16 for 4th. This time by halfway for Pete Blaney. Halfway. Chris Clark in the 77 hasn't had an easy time. He's had to come from 16th on the grid. But he has now worked his way into the 6th spot behind Dale O'Neill in the 16. He's trying to run down the 4 of CJ LeVere, as probably pretty likely that those 2 guys are going to be a couple of guys you're going to have to watch with the lowest point total towards the end of these 3 events. Dale O'Neill's another guy to watch, but Pete Blaney will be another one to watch as he started out front, and he has tried to run away and wire this field, as he's going to come around this time by, and he'll be the leader on lap number 7. But CJ LeVere in the number 4 is quickly working his way to the front. He's into the top 3 now, and he's looking for the 2nd spot down to the inside on the 41 of Tim LaFountain. And by the time he gets out of turn number 2, he's probably going to have it. But here comes Dale O'Neill with a 3 wide move down to the inside. Dale O'Neill tries to slingshot past those 2 cars as they race down the backstretch into turn number 3. Racing room closed off for the 16 of O'Neill. Popsicle sticks are out, 2 laps to go for the 22B of Blaney, as the 4 of LeVere has come through for the 2nd spot. But I'm not sure he's going to have enough time to run down the 22B out front, as Pete Blaney is going to put James Saya down another lap in the number 61 machine. Here is the 77 of Clark now pulling up on the battle for position number 3. White flag is out for Pete Blaney. Chris Clark still trying to move and gain a couple of spots down on the inside. He's worked his way around the 41 of Tim LaFountain, now looking down on the inside of Dale O'Neill in the 16. O'Neill works the top of the racetrack. Here comes Clark now. with a good run down the backstretch. He's going to go to the top. Clark trying to get into the top 3. Now he's going to look to cross over on the 16 of O'Neill. Checkered flag is out. Pete Blaney's going to win it. Second to C.J. LeVere. Third's going to be Dale O'Neill. Fourth, Chris Clark. Fifth will go to the 41 of Tim LaFountain. Sixth to Harold LeVere. Seventh to the 54 of Tyler. Starting on point in the second segment, 14B is John Mike Brissett. Outside in the 5 is Rick Welch. 2 rows back on the inside. The 94 is Tanner Crary. Outside the 18 is Clement Bell Jr. 3 rows back on the inside, Robert Foley in the 66. Outside, Matty Brusso in the 26. Inside row 4, 7th starting spot. That is Rob Clark. Outside, Fast Eddie Brissett in the number 15. The 54 is Tyler Irwin starting 9th. Outside, Harold LeVere in the number 9 starts 10th. 11th on the grid is Tim LaFountain in the 41. Outside, the 77 is Chris Clark. The 16 is Dale O'Neill. The 4 is C.J. LeVere. The 61 is James Saya, the third car. And the 22, the winner of segment 1, is Pete Blaney. Here they come off the 4th turn. Green flag is out. And a heck of a start for the 14B of John Mike Brissett. Again, this one will be interesting. You have to watch some of those quicker guys work their way towards the front. 3 and 4 wide racing down the backstretch. The car on the move on top of the racetrack is the 77 of Chris Clark. Watch Clark thread the needle through the middle of the racetrack. He was running 3 wide. Now he's going to try and split the middle. As Matt Brusso was nearly in trouble up on top of the racetrack. There's contact going into turn number 1. The 94 is sideways of Tanner Crary, but he's able to hang on to it. The 9 of Harold LeVere and the 16 of Dale O'Neill part him left and right. They're 3 wide. Battling for position number 5. Clement Bell Jr. in the 18 has the spot, but here comes the 77 of Chris Clark on his way through. Look out, a little contact there. Got to be skinny getting through the front of the field. Out front and trying to run away is John Mike Brissett in the 14B. Then it's Robert Foley in the 66. The 77 of Chris Clark has raced up to position number 3. And then it is the 26 of Matt Brusso, the 15 of Fast Eddie Brissett, and then the 14 of Rob Clark. Rob Clark in the 14, the 4 of C.J. LeVere race side by side. Right now, C.J. LeVere sticks the nose out in front off the second turn. Rob Clark in the 14 down on the inside. They race into turn number 3. Clark down on the inside. LeVere on top of the racetrack. Those two still hanging side by side as the 4 of LeVere is snookered by the 26 of Matt Brusso, but now LeVere is able to get down to the inside. LeVere in the number 4 was able to get down to the inside of Clark. Now he's going to work on the 26 of Matty Brusso. Brusso in the 26 pushed up to the top. And here comes the 4 of C.J. LeVere through to position number 5. Halfway this time by for the 14 of John Mike Brissett, but he's got a dance partner at the door, and that's the 77 of Chris Clark. Clark has worked his way to position number 1. Here comes the 4 of C.J. LeVere down to the inside of the 15 of Fast Eddie Brissett. Another car on the move down to the inside is the 16 of Dale O'Neill, not moving quite as quickly through the field. Problems for the 14 of John Mike Brissett. He's off the pace. Look out, Matt Brusso, as well as everyone else that's back there that's taking evasive action. A bit of a bumper reaction going into turn number 1 between what looked like the 9 and the 22. Pete Blaney got into the back end of Harold LeVere going into turn number 1 as a number of drivers got on the binder for James Saya's number 61. But out front, running away, is the 77 of Chris Clark. Running in the second spot, Robert Foley, not for long. Here comes C.J. LeVere. He's going to fly by down on the inside. Fast Eddie Brissett's coming quick with him as well. Popsicle sticks are out. 2 laps to go this time by for the 77 of Chris Clark. Good battle right here coming off the 4th turn. The 9 of LeVere down on the inside. 16 of Dale O'Neill is trying to follow Harold around in that number 9, but Pete Blaney is right there at the wheel trying to work his way around. O'Neill in the 16, staying tight to the inside. Here goes Harold working on the 14 of Rob Clark. But the white flag is out with 1 more lap around. Harold LeVere has completed the pass of those drivers, and the 22B of Pete Blaney almost got into the back end of the 14 of Rob Clark, but the 16 of Dale O'Neill is going to be able to work his way by now. Just corners 3 and 4 left for the 77 of Chris Clark. Here he comes now, and he will win segment number 2. Second's going to go to the 4 of C.J. LeVere. Third to the 15 of Fast Eddie Brissett. Fourth to the 66 of Robert Foley. Fifth to the 16 of Dale O'Neill. 6th, Harold LeVere. 7th, Pete Blaney. 8th, Rob Clark. 9th to Tyler Irwin. And rounding out the top 10 will be Tim LaFountain in the number 41. So Chris Clark wins the race to the front. And he will now have a total of 5 points.
And LeVert's total is 4. He finished second in each of the 2 segments. So Chris Clark will start behind Chris LeVert and trail him by 1 point.
14, that's John Mike Brissett. Outside the 5 is Rick Welch. 2 rows back on the inside. The 18 is Clement Bell Jr. His outside the 26 is Matty Brusso. 3 rows back rather on the inside. The 41 is Tim LaFountain. Outside the 54 of Tyler Irwin. Inside the next row, the 14 is Rob Clark. Outside the 22B is Pete Blaney. Then the 9 is Harold LeVert. Outside Dale O'Neill. The 66 is Robert Foley. The 15, Fast Eddie Brissett. The 4 is CJ LeVert. Outside the 77, Chris Clark. The 94, Tanner Crary. And the 61 at the back of the pack is James Saya. Here they come off of turn number 4. Green flag is out. John Mike Brissett shows the way through turns 1 and 2. Look out, Clement Bell Jr. got into Tyler Irwin, and there is a mess off the top of turn number 2. Well, going green next time by, no laps in, looking to get to 10. Watch 2 cars at the back of the pack, the 4 of CJ LeVert and the 77 of Chris Clark. It's likely going to come down to those 2 guys. Whoever finishes ahead of the other one, likely going to be the winner of this Milk Bowl style 3 10-lap segments. All right, here they come off the 4th turn. Green flag is out, and John Mike Brissett aces the restart. Clement Bell Jr. quickly takes the hard left down to the inside. He's going to look to bottom feed. That's going to box up the bottom of the racetrack. Here goes Clark up on top of the racetrack. Rob Clark. Tim LaFountain was thinking 3 wide, but thought better of it. Look at Harold LeVert threading the needle through the middle. Harold is making a couple of slick moves through the middle of the racetrack. And here goes the 77 of Chris Clark atop the racetrack. The 4 of CJ LeVert is snookered, but now some room opening up down on the bottom of the racetrack. Clement Bell pushes up in the number 18, but now CJ is snookered. He has no room. How does he make that work? He didn't, because you saw some of the sparks fly, but he's working his way through. Used 1 car as a rub rail. There was not a whole heck of a lot of room for the 4 of CJ LeVert to get through, but somehow he worked his way through. Here goes Chris Clark now. He has to get on the binders. There goes the 4 of CJ LeVert. He flies right by down on the inside. Dale O'Neill in the 16 trying to get underneath Matty Brusso in the number 26. Brusso in the Taylor Rental sponsored number 26 pushes up the racetrack. He's trying to hold down the bottom in front of Dale O'Neill, and Dale O'Neill's trying to get there. O'Neill is trying to dig for position down on the bottom, and he is going to get it. What that allowed is the 77 of Clark to pull on the back bumper, and now he's going to go around the 4 of CJ LeVert, but Matt Brusso in the 26 pushes up the racetrack, and that slows the progress of the 77 of Chris Clark. But Clark going to the top of the racetrack. He's going to look to go around CJ. CJ LeVert down on the inside in the 4. Chris Clark on the outside. Out front, going for the lead, Harold LeVert. Harold LeVert takes the lead down on the inside in the number 9 as we're halfway, and Harold's got the lead. What? Harold. Well, he shows the way in the number 9. Son CJ's in a heck of a battle right now with Chris Clark for position number 4.
Yeah, that could be for the race win.
Yeah, well, that's absolutely what it is. Whoever finishes, where they race right now in position number 4, with Dale O'Neill just a couple of spots ahead, whoever finishes ahead of the other driver between the 4 and 77, they'll be the winner overall. But out front, Harold? Uh-oh, problems for Dale O'Neill in the 16. He's off the pace as he'll head down to the inside. The 4 of CJ LeVert a little bit sideways. A tap on the back bumper from the 77 of Chris Clark. He's going to go to the top of the racetrack, but still leading is Harold in the number 9. 16 of Dale O'Neill is down to the infield. He's out of harm's way. Harold LeVert leading the show. Chris LeVert in the 4 in second with the 77 of Chris Clark right there on the back bumper with the popsicle sticks out and 2 laps to go for Harold LeVert in the number 9 looking to win segment number 3. And he looks strong in that number 9. Here goes Chris Clark in the 77. He looks to diamond turns 1 and 2.
Whoa.
Pulls up to the outside door of the 4 of CJ LeVert. This time around, white flag out for Harold LeVere, but the win overall right now is the battle for position number 2. At the line, it was C.J. LeVere in position number 2. Here's the crossover move. Chris Clark tries to slingshot underneath the 4 of C.J. LeVere, but LeVere was able to get on the binders and block that move. One final try for the 77 of Chris Clark through turns 3 and 4. LeVere on the brakes trying to block that move. Checkered flag is out for Harold LeVere. Second to C.J. LeVere in the win. Chris Clark third. Fourth to Eddie Brissett. Fifth to John Mike Brissett. Sixth, Rob Clark. Seventh to the 41 of Tim LaFountain. Eighth to the 54 of Tyler Irwin. Ninth to Robert Foley, and 10th will go to Matty Brusso in the number 26. Two things interesting happened in that third final segment. Number one, of course, Harold LeVere wins it. Number two, heck of a race between the 4 and 77 as they work their way through the field. Nice job by CJ and Chris Clark.
No surprise, that's how it's been for the better part of the last 2 months. The 77 and the 4 battling it out.